welcome to the Holistic Show. My name's Lloyd Bryant.
And I'm Danielle Bryant.
And today we're having a chat about hair tissue mineral analysis, and which you perform. And so we'll just go through the procedure. So someone sends you a sample of their hair from the roots. You send it off to a lab to be analysed, and then they send you back some results. So what sort of information do you get back from the lab?
We get an analysis of the mineral state of the body. So it tests on 15 essential minerals, 8 toxic elements, 14 additional elements. That's things like that haven't been evaluated for health yet. Things like germanium and lithium and things, you know. You also get the ratios between the different minerals that pair up, that antagonise or synergise with each other, and you get the ratios of the toxic elements and the associated minerals that help to eliminate the toxic elements from our bodies.
Okay, so the client will send you the sample in a week or two, or a couple of weeks' time. They'll get a result back, so they'll get a graph, I understand,
Yep.
with an explanation of the different levels on the graph.
We can show the graph here, and we'll put it
on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, so what sort of things can you tell then from this hair mineral analysis report?
You can tell a lot of things. I mean, for one thing, you can tell the sort of state of the body, and with the hair mineral test, because it's the last inch of growth that's taken closest to the root, it gives you an average. That inch of growth has grown over the last 2 months.
Yeah.
So it's had 2 months of minerals being deposited within the hair shaft. So it actually takes an average over that 2 months of the body's state. So it's considered to be a much more accurate overall representation of the health of the body than if you just have a blood test, because that will just give you that could be influenced by what you've just eaten, or if you're in distress, or if you're ill at the time. So it gives a much more overall sort of state of your health.
Okay.
But you can tell things like obviously deficiencies and toxicities in any of the minerals, imbalances between the ratios, between the paired minerals.
Yeah.
And it can, you know, from the mineral levels as well, you can also tell if, say, somebody is vegetarian and they actually should be eating meat, or the other way around. You can tell whether there's like problems with stomach acid and digestive problems. There's quite a lot actually. You can tell.
Quite a lot of those actually.
Yeah.
So what are the sort of things you find, say, are there a lot of toxic people out there, for example?
Surprisingly not. The toxic levels are all pretty low. There's been a few with a certain toxicity, which is generally can be put down to, say, if they're living near an industry, or if they're exposed to something, you know, in their work, or something like that, you know.
Okay. All right then. So we haven't had that much toxicity coming through in these reports, but then again, a lot of your clients may already try to detox, so there's possibility.
Yeah, because what you need to understand is the people who come to me for or purchase the hair mineral test from the website are usually people who have are already customers of ours, or clients. So they've already sort of done a little bit of natural health and looked after their health.
Detoxing.
Yeah, maybe some detoxing as well. You don't usually get somebody that's never tried anything before, so
jumping straight in with a hair
jumping
test.
straight at you. It's not the sort of thing, because it's quite an expensive test to have. It's not the sort of thing you just jump straight in and have.
All right then. So you've got all these levels. So could you then use that to see if there's things that you need to supplement with to get the levels equal? Is that right?
You can. However, the levels aren't as important as it's made out. It's more the ratios between the minerals themselves. So you can have low levels and still be really quite healthy, or you can have higher levels and still be quite healthy. So for example, the relationship between calcium and magnesium.
Yeah.
Calcium needs magnesium or it cannot be utilised by the body. It'll just wander around aimlessly and deposit itself. You get calcification of the blood vessels and of the joints, and you know, you can get like kidney stones and things like that, which is just like calcium that doesn't know.
Yeah, well, years ago you had a calcium deposit on your shoulder, didn't you?
Yeah,
so that
I did,
was
yeah,
sort of,
yeah.
but that's long gone now.
Yeah, it has, yeah. So if you're having calcium and you're not having magnesium, then the calcium that you have will use up the magnesium in your body, and then the ratio will be out.
Right,
So,
okay, so the ratio is the important part, not
definitely.
just the levels, okay. So what we're saying then really is that the ratios between the minerals seems to be the most important thing. So I understand that you've had some zinc-copper ratios that's gone out of kilter. Could you tell us about those?
Yeah, it's usually when someone is vegetarian, and we were vegetarian for quite a long time, weren't we? And it doesn't suit everyone. Some people just actually need animal protein, and usually when somebody needs animal protein and they're not taking animal protein, their copper will be quite toxic because they're not getting the zinc and copper balance that's found in meat. And I have had a client, well, it was actually myself, who was taking zinc because I was vegetarian and my zinc was quite toxic, and it had depleted my copper quite a lot. So it had like gone the opposite way. So it's not always, you know, you just have to give your body what you need at the end of the day.
So this is an example of a beneficial mineral, but when the ratio is wrong, effectively it becomes toxic.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
It just throws things right out, yeah.
Okay, so you've got this report, you've got some levels, it gives you an idea of what to supplement with. Is there anything else you can tell about an individual from the hair test?
Yeah, like I said, you know, we can tell about diet. So it's not just. I think it's really important to try and get as much as you can from food,
Yeah.
rather than supplements, because that's the most bioavailable form of nutrition that we can have.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know that the food that we eat is the building blocks of our bodies. That's what that we use to regenerate our bodies. Our bodies are regenerating all the time, you know. So we're using the sort of cells from our food to do that. So
Okay.
it's the emphasis is on diet.
Okay. So on that basis, a hair mineral test may be a really good investment because it might be saving you money on supplements that you don't really need and steering you towards the ones that you really do need. Is that what you'd agree?
Yeah, definitely. And taking supplements that you don't need not only will affect your levels of other minerals, it will deplete other minerals and just throw everything out of balance, like we've kind of suggested. But it will also put stress on your body because your body has to process all of that excess. So it's just like a double whammy, really.
So getting your supplement taken down to a minimum, really, for only the things that you really need to get by supplements.
Yeah.
What you can naturally by food, obviously, in the report you're going to suggest the foods that's rich in those to keep the supplementation to a level. It's not to be taking loads of supplements at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do need supplements, especially if there's a deficiency or if there's a deficiency in the food because of the soil depletion. So sometimes supplements are needed, you know, but it's not to be taking things just for the sake of it, because the stress that you will put on your body is, you know, and that will deplete magnesium. Magnesium is depleted by stress, so, and it's the most the easiest mineral to deplete because it's used so much.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of customers saying to us that they've had problems trying to explain things to their GP. So I know for a fact that a GP would get difficulty getting to do any tests for you. An example being magnesium, I understand, is fixed so that your body manage it? There's always like 1% magnesium in your blood?
Yeah, yeah. So if you had a blood test
A
from your
blood-
doctor, it's not really going to show the state of magnesium in your body,
Yeah.
because 99% of it is unaccounted for.
So the doctor will come back, even if they did a test for you, will come back and say, oh look, it's in the correct percentage, because your body makes sure it does, because otherwise you'd be dead. So your body's pretty clever like that, but obviously your body can only work with what is given. So if we can't go to our GPs for this, and we're not prepared to splash out on a hair mineral test at the moment, are there any other methods you can use to try and test these levels?
Well, there is. I mean, you can visit a kinesiologist. Kinesiology is a really good way of finding out what your body needs. So you won't get actual levels, you know, like a graph to look at. Some people need that sort of physical graph with the figures to look at. But, you know, if it's just, does my body need this, then, you know,
And that's the
then
muscle
kinesiology,
testing.
That's the muscle testing. So we're gonna do a show, aren't we?
We'll do another show about that
demonstrating
another time, maybe.
some self muscle testing and some so you can test for allergies and for whether you need supplements or not. So we'll do that quite soon.
But then time for us to reveal what is your biggest finding in all the hair tests you've done, and by far the most significant ratio that you found to be prevalent in most people.
I've done somewhere between 70 and 80 hair tests.
Okay.
Every single one has been deficient in magnesium, and most people have been severely deficient in magnesium.
Okay. So this is the ratio between calcium and magnesium that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not so much the levels of magnesium, it's the actual ratio.
Most people are low in magnesium anyway, even
Okay.
just going by the levels. But
comparatively, they may be high in calcium, so that ratio.
I mean, the highest ratio we've had is 103 to 1, and the optimum health level is 1 to 1.
So that was quite far out. So that's putting a lot of stress on this system, having so much calcium.
Definitely.
Now the thing is, calcium it's fortified with calcium in a lot of foods. If you're in a lot of dairy, you're going to be naturally getting a lot of calcium anyway. Plus, like
It's abundant, really. We don't really need to be taking calcium.
Most people don't need to supplement calcium.
In fact, people who have a calcium deficiency, as prescribed by or found by the doctor, have nearly always got a magnesium deficiency, because the calcium that's measured in our bodies is the calcium that's being utilised and not the calcium that's wandering around lost because it hasn't got magnesium to bind to.
Okay.
So you usually find that if somebody is diagnosed with calcium deficiency, it's usually a magnesium deficiency in disguise.
Okay. Well, there's a lot more we can go into on magnesium and calcium, but I think we're going to do another show on that.
Yeah, definitely.
To go into detail. But just briefly then, so before someone goes and, you know, orders a hair test from yourself or from someone else, so it might be a good idea for them to, first of all, because it's the most popular problem, try and get their magnesium levels up.
Yeah.
And if they're unnecessarily supplementing with calcium, maybe knock that on the head, especially if they've got natural sources of calcium in their diet anyway.
Yeah.
It's unlikely to be the problem.
Unless it's prescribed, you're going to have to. We can't tell you to stop taking the prescribed medicine.
Okay. So, let's just say what we think is the best way to get your magnesium in your body, and that is to transdermally supplement. So that is
through the skin.
Through the skin. And that's so you can bathe in a bath with magnesium flakes dissolved in it, or the other thing you can do is get it in an oil form and apply that to your skin, and then you are soaking it in through your skin, and then your skin's saturated after say 15-20 minutes. So then you can just shower off the film that's left, but by then your skin will have absorbed a good amount of magnesium, and actually you'll get more magnesium that way than you will by taking oral supplements, because what's the ratio?
We only actually absorb between 30 and 40% of magnesium taken orally.
Yeah.
And the magnesium has to be in the right form. The magnesium chloride is the form that our body uses. A lot of people, well, they all bath in Epsom salts because it's magnesium sulfate, but that is not a usable form of magnesium. And I've had clients, mineral test clients who have been bathing in Epsom salts who are still deficient in magnesium, and who have been taking magnesium orally and they're still deficient in magnesium. So, and when I've prescribed to them the magnesium chloride in the bath, and the next time they come back then for their test, their magnesium levels have regulated.
Have come back more into balance.
They've increased, yeah.
So, all right, the ratio has come back then.
Yeah, so we've actually seen it, seen the evidence of it.
Okay, excellent. So there's a top tip for everybody. So before you consider a hair mineral test or anything similar, have a look at your magnesium levels, see if you wanted to take our advice on using the transdermal method of supplementation.
And it was really important because magnesium is used for over 300 processes in the body. It's by far the most important, and it's the most easiest depleted because it's so utilised.
Yeah, and if you can bathe in it rather than have to pop a load of pills, it's, that's what we want to reduce. So it's an easy way of supplementation.
Yeah.
And it's lovely and relaxing as well. We can attest to that. So in addition to the magnesium then, is there any other tips that you'd recommend to people?
Before taking a hair test, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I would say to follow the tips that we've given in our other show, our top tips, which includes the magnesium actually, but there's quite a few things you can do in the first instance because it's quite a common theme. So because I see it quite a lot, if you do those things before, you might not need to take a hair test then. You might feel healthy enough or you might still want to see what's going on inside, but just to confirm you're doing things right. But that's up to you then, but it might just save you money.
So don't just jump straight in with a hair test, even if you like the sound of it. Take some of this advice first, and then hopefully, if you're still having problems, it might be worth thinking about. But like we said, there's also the kinesiology that you might want to look at to empower yourself first. So that's all from us for this show. So thank you very much for joining us.
And we'll see you again soon.